Good early morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh, and I apologize for this weird, stairway intro. This is the only spot in the house at this time of day where I don't look completely yellow like I have jaundice. So, yeah, pardon me, but it is what it is. It is early in the morning. It's about just before 5:30 in the morning, and I am getting ready to head to work. Today is an in-office day. And I'm going to be bringing you along on the commute because after I did my Rav4 Prime 3 years in video, so many of you guys wrote to me in comments and questions and things like that, wanting to know more about how I handle doing my commute, which we'll talk about here in a bit, to and from the office. It is 25 miles each way, 50 miles round trip. And I do, because I have a Rav4 Prime and I have EV chargers at work, I can plug in during the day and basically do my entire commute, even though it is mostly highway driving, all on EV mode. And you guys just kind of wanted to see how that works. There are absolutely certain nuances and considerations if you're in a situation like I am, time of day being one of them. The fact that it is so early and that I go in work so early is part of what makes this whole thing work. We'll talk about that as well out on the road. So, excuse me, I literally woke up, got ready, haven't had my coffee, haven't had a drink of water, so pardon me. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of bring you along, show you all the things. And as we go about, commuting to work today, I'll kind of tell you all the things that you might want to know or consider if you are in a situation like me, where you have where like a Rav4 Prime will work, assuming that you can charge, every day at the office or wherever it is that you go during the day. So that's what we're going to do today. I hope that you guys, for those of you who asked for this, I hope this answers all the questions. I'm sure it will also generate more questions. Leave those downstairs, or you guys know you can always email me at any time, with that kind of stuff. So with that, let me go continue getting ready. I've got my coffee, Nespressoing downstairs. So we'll go ahead and get the last few bits ready. Then we'll head out and head to work. So yeah, I hope it's exciting. I hope it's fun. And come join me on my way to work. Okay, you see what I mean about yellow? I'm sitting in my living room and yellow. Anyway, okay. I've got all my stuff ready, packed up to go. I am set to go. And one last thing before we head out to the car, if you happen to know the Rav4 Prime, you probably know that this is one of the only cars, oddly enough, I don't know why Toyota does this, but on PHEVs and BEVs, you still get a button on the fob for a remote start. And you're seeing that right here. It says hold AC. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to lock the car. And then we're going to hold the hold AC button. The car is still plugged into the EVSE. So by remote starting to precondition the car, we are not going to waste any of our battery charge or anything like that. It'll draw all its power that it needs to precondition the car from the household current. And by the time we get in there, it's not super chilly outside. It's probably about maybe mid to high 40s. It'll be set to go. Nice and warm and toasty for our commute to work. Okay, here's the car. Can you hear the little buzzing noise? That is the car preconditioning itself. That is not the engine. That is probably the heat pump this morning because it is chilly and, oh my goodness, foggy outside. So yeah, that's what that noise is. As soon as I unlock the car, like most older Toyotas, it will turn off, which is really annoying, but it's fine. It's been running long enough now that is not going to make a big difference. So let me get my stuff settled, and then I want to talk to you about the EVSE. Okay, so here's the number one thing I always tell people about buying a Rav4 Prime. You need to have some place to plug this car in if you're going to buy it. I hear from a lot of people who go, oh, I want a Rav4 Prime because, I want to do 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds or whatever it is this car does. And here's the thing. This Rav4 Prime is, at least now here in 2025, this is $10,000 more than a comparably equipped Rav4 hybrid. $10,000 you are paying to go 0 to 60, if you can't plug in, to go 0 to 60 2 seconds quicker if you don't have a place to plug in. That is just, no, absolutely not. So yeah, you really, if you want to buy this car and you want it to, you want to get the most out of this car, you absolutely need to have some place to plug it in every single night, because that way, like right now, this car is ready for us to head downtown. And because it did fully charge overnight, we have enough range to get there all on EV mode. And you can see as we come inside there, it says charging complete. All right, let's start her up. I'm gonna close the garage door. And there we go. Because, my average is usually about 2.5 miles to kilowatt hour. At 100% fully charged, I do have 40 miles. Now, this mileage figures we'll talk about when we get out on the highway. And as I've said before, not all that accurate. One of the things to know about this car is, it's when you're doing highway driving, that's a little bit optimistic. But anyhow, we do have enough mileage to do our 25-mile trip downtown, and then we'll plug it in once we get there. And then, by the time we head out, it'll be fully charged again. All right, guys, we are ready to go. Oh my gosh, can you even see me? I didn't even think about this. Should I turn on the light? Oh, holy night, that's even worse. That's okay, I'm not much to see. We are ready to go, heading out. And yeah, let's, as you can see even less of me now. That's okay, seriously, I am not much to see. In any case, as we go, I will just kind of be talking to you about all the things you might want to think about if you are going to be buying a RAV4 plug-in hybrid and using it to commute to work like I am. Okay, so as we head out here, the very first thing I want to just kind of tell you guys right up front, and this kind of will answer the question I've gotten a lot of people: why do you go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning? And the reason is, well, it's twofold. First, I'm a manager at work. I have a team who reports to me, and half my reports are in Mumbai, in India. So they are at this very moment, I think, about 13 and a half hours ahead of where I am here in Central Time, Central US time. And so I try to prioritize kind of that overlap with them. So I go into work early so my early morning is their evening. But the second reason, and this has to do directly with this car, is because, and this is a huge huge consideration if you want to consider doing this, in kind of a similar way that I do. A lot of times charging, anywhere dense, like a downtown city center kind of situation, the charging spots fill up pretty quick if you go in at a normal hour. So if you go to work and you arrive at work, let's say at 8 a.m. for example, chances are you're not going to get a space right away, unless your building's got 25 different spaces. Most buildings, at least here, have between 2 spaces. Some at the very high end have 10, but at least here in Austin, I don't know if it's the case everywhere, a lot of people here have some kind of electrified vehicle, plug-in hybrid, BEV, whatever the case may be. And so, the more people that buy them, the more those charging spaces are going to get used, and that's great. I'm glad they are getting used. But going in at this hour helps me to find a space, and reliably always have a space to park and charge the car, and I don't have to worry about that. On that note, let's talk about locating a space wherever it is you're going. And what I'm about to say is not exclusive to just downtowns either. This is the case anywhere you go. So maybe you're going on vacation or something like that, and you're trying to figure out where can I charge at or near my hotel. So what you want to do is download an app like PlugShare or Chargepointe. I use Chargepointe because that's the operator of the chargers at my office. Again, excuse me. And what that app is going to allow you to do, whether it's ChargeShare, Chargepointe, or PlugShare, you'll be able to see all the chargers in the area that you're going to, and that'll allow you to kind of route plan a little bit. Because the thing is, again, if you go in, after 8 o'clock here, you're probably not going to get a space in your building. You'll have to find, alternative accommodation. And so that might mean parking in a different garage that's nearby, or, whatever like that. and then those update in real time as well. PlugShare is a little bit less reliable, but Chargepointe always shows you exactly what chargers, near that location. Is that charger in use? Is it, broken, unavailable, whatever? So definitely look at those apps. That is a great tool. The thing is, if you can establish a routine like me and like this that we're doing right now, not a concern. Like, you generally figure out as you go, okay, these chargers are always available. Those might not be, blah, 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 whatever. And you can figure it out from there. And then finally, the last thing on that, in terms of locating a public charger, especially in a downtown city center, like where we're going, most of these chargers, they are in a garage. And most garages in most city centers do require you to pay for parking. So, just keep in mind, although you're probably going to pay for parking if you're driving a car downtown anyway, but do keep in mind that, it can be a little harder for some of my coworkers, for example, who bought a monthly parking pass like I have, but don't get to work until 8 to 10 a.m. They will sometimes have to pay for, an additional couple hours of parking if they want to charge in a different building, which our pass does not cover. So, yeah. Alright guys, so I have my GoPro mounted to the windshield. GoPros don't do well in low light. This is very low light, obviously, so if the GoPro footage doesn't come out, I can always use my dash cam footage. But anyway, you've probably been seeing here, as part of the drive, we're about 7 miles from home at this point, and the trip computer on the gauge cluster is showing that we have about 31 miles of range left. Now, like I said, that range computer, when you're doing highway driving, does tend to be rather optimistic. So although it's only maybe two to 3 or so miles off, we started at 40. We've only done about 6 to 7 miles, and we're down at 31 now. So I've said this before, I'll say it again. If you're going to be doing highway driving in EV mode the way that I am right now, we've been averaging about, let's say, maybe 60 since we left home. You do just kind of want to keep that in mind, that you won't be able to get that full, what it's saying on the trip computer doing highway mileage. Now, one thing that's kind of funny about this stretch that we're on right now, and the fact that I decided to do this today, is usually in this stretch, the speed limit is 70 miles an hour. And people are usually coming through here, either doing that or a little bit more. So, let's say low to mid 70 to 75, 78, sometimes, whatever. Because everyone is being a little bit more cautious, visibility is a little bit lower than it usually is. It's, it's really foggy, it's wet. The road is kind of slick. People are being a lot more careful, and we haven't really gotten above 65. And that means that we're seeing a little bit of an efficiency gain because, again, this car is going to be a little more efficient doing 60 than 70. So, a little fun tidbit there. Alright guys, well here we are downtown, and I gotta tell you, okay, so on this drive, this is incredibly unusual for well, for the Rav4 Prime, but just my commuting in general. This car on this drive, even though we've been doing mostly highway driving, we're doing on this drive, so since we set off from home, we've been able to do 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour average on this drive. That never happens. Usually on the highway, you know, to and from work, I can do anywhere between speed-wise, like maybe like 70 to maybe like 85, and yes, that is legal on the roads that I drive on. But today, because of the weather, because everybody's being more careful, because people are driving more slowly and all this kind of thing, I'm actually on this drive. So since we set off from home and we literally just got off the highway, I've been doing 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour. That is unheard of. Usually on these drives, I average like around 2.3 because we're doing, you know, such sustained high speed highway driving that, you know, because of the speed that everyone was doing today and the weather and all this kind of thing. And by the way, it's about 50 degrees, which is warm-ish for this time of year. Usually it's about 30 to 40 at this point. So warmer weather, slower traffic does wonders for your efficiency. And we're in downtown. I'm about like probably 2 to 3 miles from my office. I still have 16 miles of range left. I usually, at this point, I maybe have like 5 to 8. And again, that still gets me to the office, no problem. But I have 16 miles of range, which is amazing. I've really only used about a little under half of the charge that we set off from home. So what's going to be interesting about this as well, when I get to the office, I'm not going to have to charge. It'll take less time, probably like 3 hours or less to fully charge back to 100% on the level 2 charger that will go to at the office. So yeah, I guess it's a good day to film because we're having a very efficient little day here today in the Rav4 Prime. Okay, and here we are. The chargers are right by you can see the green wall back there. We are at the chargers, so let's go ahead and park, and then I'll show you all of this. All right, guys, check this out. This never happens. This is insane. Okay, so we just got to the office. I have parked, and the car is saying that we still have 15 miles of range left. Our total average for this drive was 2.6 miles a kilowatt hour. Again, this never happens. I usually end up here with like 5 miles, and it's saying I have 15. And when we look at the EV battery meter here, it's like we're really only a little bit below. Can you see my finger? The halfway mark here. This is the section. This blue section is what is reserved for your hybrid vehicle operation. So even when you hit 0 miles of range, that's when it taps into the blue area. But yeah, because of how efficient, you know, our driving was with the weather and everything this morning, we actually did really, really well. And I'm not going to have to fully charge today in order to get us back to 100%. So that's awesome. And now let me show you how plugging in back there works. Okay, so here's the situation at our building. There are 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, but that's for this entire building. Now, let's come around. There's a GX that's driving in here right now. Hi, GX. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna make sure the car is unlocked because that will unlock our charging port. We'll open this guy up here, and then I'm gonna have to cut the video because I use the Apple Wallet card thing on my phone, but so I'll have to tap my phone here, but as soon as I do that, I'll come right back on. Okay, so it accepted my card. It's telling us to plug in. I've got the thing, plugs in like so. Green light comes on, means it's charging. And now you can see exactly what the car is doing, and I'll be able to see that in the Chargepointe app as well, which is really nice. So I'll show you, I'll screen record that so you can see it as we go. Okay, so let me just get all my stuff and then we'll head into the office. All right, guys, I got my stuff, coffee, all the badges, all the things. what did you think? I mean, that really wasn't bad, and it's pretty easy. Like, once you figure out, I think, what your routine is and where you can charge and all this kind of thing, it gets a lot easier, if not simpler. So, yeah, sit on it.
Sidewalk car.
All right, guys. Well, I am in the building, headed up to my office. I can't take you in there, unfortunately, but I will. I'll rejoin you when the car is ready to come off the charger and we go get it, and we'll have to move it to another space. But yeah. Now, throughout the day while I'm at work, I can also open the Chargepointe app to see my current session, and it's going to show me how many miles it thinks it's added, the charging time, cost incurred, and the charging curve of the car as well. And when the car's done, I'll get a push notification that shows me that it's ready to go off the charger and a reminder of the idle fee that this station assesses. Alright guys, so I just got the notification that the car's done. I happen to not be in a meeting right now, so I'm going to run down, grab it off the charger because I need to stay. I usually try to leave around this time anyway because I get in so early, but today I have to stay later, so we're going to move the car to another space and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done charging. Alright, oddly enough, there aren't other people at the chargers. Usually these are completely full all day, every day. Maybe today's weird weather is just more people are working from home. Anyway, alright, so here we are at the car. We're going to unlock it, and we'll unlock the rest of the car to unlock the charger from the car. So let's go ahead and do this. You're seeing it says complete, so car is not drawing any energy, and that's exactly what the notification we got. And because we got here before the holding the weight rate or whatever kicked in, $1.13. We put 8.6 kilowatt hours into the car, charging for 3 hours, 41 minutes, 19 seconds. So yeah, we are, let me close this up. We are good to go. So 3 hours later at work, it's 10:55 and we are fully charged, and I can move the car off the charger so someone else can use it, though it looks like, again, that's not necessarily a problem today. But anyway. Okay, so let me explain the I don't know what the term is, but ultimately they charge you for the time that you sit at the charger and you're not actually actively charging. And some people might initially look at that and go, like, how rude, but they don't want one person sitting there hogging the charger that somebody else could be using, when they don't actually need to be sitting there. And so I fully support, I think it may be called idle time or something to that effect. But that's ultimately what that is. The rate, at least at this station, though, I think it's pretty standard across the Chargepointe network. Now, that is one thing. If you are, I tend to have a break in my meetings around this time of day because I have so many meetings in the morning and a lot of meetings in the afternoon. So this works for me. But if you are the kind of person where you just simply cannot get away from your desk or meetings or whatever, do know that you can't just sit there for free. You get I think it's like a 30-minute grace period, so the car can stop charging, and then 30 minutes after that you don't get hit with that fee, but after that you do. So keep that in mind. All right guys, well, I'm done with my in-office part of the day, so let's head back to the car and head on home.
All right, guys, heading out of downtown now. And one thing I wanted to just kind of mention as we head out of the city here is I have noticed, and I don't know if this is actually the case, I'm not sure if there's like real science behind this or not. So, for all those of you who get nitpicky about the details, let me know if I'm off base here, or, maybe this is just my mind playing tricks on me. I have noticed that, especially after, doing a level 2 charging at the office, the car gets better efficiency, I think because the battery has been fully warmed up. I feel like I use less EV range on the drive home than I do on the drive down. Today is obviously a bit of an exception to that because of how somehow miraculously efficient it was on the drive in, but still, I can get home and usually have more range left than when I come downtown. So I don't know if that's the case or not, or again, maybe there might also be physics in terms of like maybe we're ascending on the way in and then descending on the way back home. I don't know. In any case, I have noticed that it takes less electricity. TLDR, it takes less electricity to drive home than to drive to the office in the morning, whatever the reason may be. Okay, so we are off the expressway. We are almost home. We're on kind of the parkway that takes you back to my part of town. And the trip computer is showing that we still have 14 miles of range left. And from here, sorry, there's an obnoxious truck next to me. From here, home is really only about 3 miles. And on a normal day, when I get to this point, I usually have between 7 and 8 miles of range left, if that. Obviously today I have double that. So, this really shows how different your range and efficiency can be in a BEV or a PHEV when it's running as a BEV, just depending on your speed and the weather and driving conditions and all this kind of thing. Because I'll get questions from people who are like, can I really get 50 miles of range out of a Prime, on a single charge? And it all depends on your driving. So, there are a lot of things to consider when you're thinking about whether a Rav4 Prime is going to make sense for you and your lifestyle. If you do daily driving like I do, to and from work, whether you can charge or not. And I'll be honest with you guys, like if I were, granted, our situation's very different because we bought this car 3 years ago, it was cheaper, blah, blah, blah. We got incentives, all this kind of thing. But if I was buying a Rav4 Prime now and I couldn't charge at work, I probably would not buy a Prime, I would just buy a hybrid. All right, guys. Well, I just got home, pulled into the driveway, and you guys are not going to believe this. My efficiency score went up. It's now showing that on this drive home, we did 2.7 miles per kilowatt average. And that's unheard of for, at least for me in this car, doing, again, mostly highway driving. And even though our driving today was about, we were doing on average about 10 miles per hour less than I normally do. So, yeah. So we did 24 miles, which is, again, right on exactly what I tend to do. And the trip computer is showing that we have 12 miles of range left. Now, that is obviously a little bit off because we left the office with 40 miles of range. And if we had, so the trip computer ultimately is saying that we used about 28 miles of range. That's only about 4 miles off what we actually did, so that's not bad. Yeah, I mean, again, I've said this many, many times in this video and others. I love this thing. It allows me to do all of my daily driving on pure electric range, even though I have a pretty lengthy commute on the highway to and from work. I love it. If you have a Prime, I know so many of you have Primes, and I know you love them just as much as I do. And there's not really that much else to say. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this answered some of the questions. I hope for those of you who wanted to come along and see my commute, and all this kind of thing, that this answered all your questions. I hope I was able to explain how Chargepointe works and kind of, the just the ins and outs of charging in public in a downtown city center like I do. It's not going to be for everybody. It's not going to work for everyone, but if you can make it work for you, rock on. So yeah, questions and comments, leave them downstairs. As always, you can email me with the email that you see here on screen. I love getting emails from you all. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that I hope you have a great one, and take care. And now we plug in and charge up for another day. And yes, by the way, you guys, I know that there is a little thing here, but sometimes I just let that fall in videos because I don't have time to like perfectly get it on the thing. But I know that's there. I do use it most of the time. So yeah, you guys get so upset about that. It's funny. And by the way, yes, there will be more GX content coming. This poor car, I haven't driven it in so long, and it needs a bath. I love it, but the Rav4 Prime is my daily driver. So let's plug it in.